At time for Saturday Live. Let's see here. Who's going to be up first? Let me put in my code here. And I am live. Let's see if you guys can see me, can hear me. I'm in the right spot. All of the above. All right. Yeah, there it is. Good deal. All right. So we're going to talk today about hand action and how not just about the grip. And so this is all for you guys. So leave comments. This is going to go up on the video where everybody can see it later and talk about it and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you have two different ways. One is you can actively move the muscle of the hands and train the joints and learn how to release. And then you can also then have a anatomically correct grip. And then your feet and legs can create the pressure. As you can see, that's totally different looking. And that was very, what I would call feeling the weight of it go by the body movement and not just by active hand action. Some people have to use active hand action because they have been so linear, so straight, turning the body, etc. And the reason why I wanted to do this video is because, once again, every single person that I teach, this is the number one thing that they have a problem with. They have a problem with the correct grip, or they have a problem with how the hands actually move and what they're perceived to do, tuck the elbow in, et cetera, et cetera. So ask some questions if you want. I just came on just a couple minutes early. I'm going to be here for about an hour doing this for you guys. Also, when you come on, let me know. Leave a comment or later when you see this if you like the adventure of the AI / experiment of the glasses, the Oakley glasses. I think that's pretty cool. Those little meta glasses. Anyway, so I'm using a slingshot, and I've always liked this. Once I found it, is that to help with the suppleness of the backhand motion. And if you're a right-handed golfer, the left hand is the speed hand, and this is like that's speed, okay, and the right hand is the control. Everybody thinks that's the other way around, and that's not the case. Whereas everybody thinks that the speed hand is the right hand, and it's not. So the right hand is the control hand, left hand is the speed hand. So when I create so understand this. No, but I don't think anybody's ever said it this way. Okay, even me, is that when I am slinging it back, this wrist bone is literally backhanding, just like the same motion of a left-handed golf swing that way. So I'm wanting it to sling that way. So my wrist sling that way. So I'm wanting it to go when I'm putting pressure into here, okay, and then I'm slinging it, I'm literally mimicking the left hand release of the golf swing as it goes through. So that's very, very passive. However, like flails, so this is muscle doing it, see, and then this would be a flail doing it. So you're going to create more speed when you use the ground and flail it this way and flail it that way. Okay, so hope you guys can see this. Makes it look like I'm swinging right and left-handed. Let's see if I'm on, if everybody can hear me. Anybody pop on and just say hello. And let's see what's going on. It just now started, of course, so it's only been going on for a couple of minutes, but there'll be some more questions and things of that nature. Let me double check back here and make sure that I'm live and good to go. Good. Let's see here. Not fans. Top messages. Yep. Okay, good. All right. Just wait for a few people to pop on here. I know it's a Saturday. I'm not sure what was going to happen. So, like I said, I did a video earlier today, had my son, and then, I've got some Zooms this afternoon. So just saying, hey, what's up? Good here. Beautiful. Thanks, man. You can hear me okay? Because when you're in here by yourself, you're like, well, are they hearing me? Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so yes, so I really want you guys to kind of start to feel like that you're backhanding with this hand and backhanding with that hand, because those are both speed hands. So if you want the fastest backswing, you want your wrist doing that, and it mimics it. See? So right there, my head stays on center. There's my hand backhanding, and there's my follow through, and they mirror each other if you put that in there. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate you. Hey, and there's Maverick. I didn't know it said baseball. You like to play baseball? All right, cool. So yeah, this is going to be fun. Questions about the hand action, questions about the grip, because I really want you guys to just play on autopilot. But not everybody learns the same way. I've given tons of lessons where people go, they get the feeling of hands, and they think they're doing it close to right, and then but I find out that they're better by moving it with force and legs and all of that, and then others are trying to move it with the legs, and their hands and arms are so stiff that you have to teach them how to move their hands. So everybody is different, and that's kind of a fun thing with my job, of course. So who has questions about the grip, especially the one I just did, where you can see through the meta lens and you can see exactly where I'm putting my hands, and you can see my visual and my perspective of how my hand moves in this semicircle fashion. So this is any confusion that you have, any problems you have, any questions that you have. Now is the time. I'm using the little slingshot iron. I like swinging these because, one, it's the only way to hear that click auditory to know that I'm creating a backwards motion instead of no speed. This way, I think most people, what they do is they're way too slow on the backswing. So if you're slow on the backswing, you can do all kinds of crazy things with your hands. And when you swing a little quicker, it automatically has a tendency to put you in the right spot. Where do you keep your grip pressure? Oh, pressure. So for me, I I don't really feel like I. That's a great question. It's all personal. I just feel like that I'm holding onto the golf club lightly, equal fingers. These three, I've already told you before, these three are open, so I'm not really squeezing anything here. And I'll feel maybe a little pressure here, and I feel pressure on the top of my golf swing with my thumb there. And the same thing, these fingers are nice and loose and open. And so if I was to feel it, it would probably say these fingers are probably what is controlling, because these other three fingers squeeze the muscles in the forearms. So when I do this and it slings back, these fingers, so you can see that I can control this, just these two, see, and then I just close my fingers enough. So, but I don't really feel it's instinctive. I have to say now, my hands are just so light there that as soon as I squeeze these fingers, if I squeeze these other fingers, I'd I'd be bad. I wouldn't have any club head speed. It'd go all the way. Just repeatability, grip pressure. Yeah, that's fine. I appreciate the question. I mean, by the way, I know that goes against, like, I don't know, every other golf pro that's pretty much ever been on the planet. I get that. I just have realized for me club head speed, and I learned this early on. I learned this I learned this with Art Quick, without him ever saying it. I just started swinging faster and faster and faster. So when I got up to the 130 plus mile an hour zone, my hands, what I learned was when I got up here that my fingers and everything would be so loose that I could snap it real fast. So if I get up here to the top and I squeeze, I can't snap anything. I can't really. I mean, look at the difference in speed here. So even if I go fast, but my hands are squeezed, you know, that's what most people look like to me. And then that, I mean, it's night and day, really. So yeah, and that's a real key point. And I don't think a lot of people. I've had videos on there about the grip pressure. Um, and I think it's the number one thing I probably would try to teach people if they can, is to have those three fingers feel like that they don't do hardly anything. These fingers right here, these are the ones I'm talking about, and then these three, you know, and because the pinky's up on top, so that's not having any pressure at all either. So when I do that, then the golf club will just swing back on its own, and the wrist bones will work just like you're walking or counterbalancing, just like you're moving correctly. So great question. I leave it for you, Maverick, to leave a great question. Did you ever make a speed breakthrough like we're on a plateau for a while and then moved up to the next level by making a change? Yes, exactly what. Yes, 1,000%. It really goes back to what I'm talking about with the hands here and and it's not to say how loose they are. It's just that these don't have any hardly pressure. So what Art was getting me to do, again, my first journey from 100 miles an hour to 130, it took about 6 months, and some of it was central nervous system, but really the plateau was that he would say shove it back, and I go okay, and then throw, and I look like that, right? And so all right, shove it back, and then throw, and so I was like, man, and those speeds are maybe 100, 102, 103, and whatever. And little by little, I started to throw, and my hand started to relax more, and then I started snapping more, and I just all of a sudden realized, okay, so to have maximum speed, it almost like coasts up here, and I'm using gravity, and those were kind of aha moments, you know. And so I don't ever have to think about where the club head goes on my backswing as well when I have grip pressure like that. Let's see. All right, Dave, what you got? My biggest issue with the grip is keeping the fingers open on the left hand. I always taught to keep closed. Yeah, I know, 100%. So when I'm saying this, I'll come up here to where you can kind of see it. See, so this might look like that it's closed. You can see. Can you see the little gap of my fingers like this? But I'm not telling you to open it and let it roll like people think I'm telling them to do. Open their fingers. I'm just saying that once I have the correct grip, like here, it's just placed here. I don't squeeze. See, you can see that. I don't squeeze that, and then that closes, and now I have no gap right there. See, so that's a hard thing. Okay, but what I would tell you to do is just do left hand only, where that's just lightly touching, like so, and then just practice backhanding and spinning this thumb and hand over, where most people do this. Okay, remember the left hand's a speed hand. So now I'm going to squeeze these fingers and do it. Okay, so this is squeezing my fingers and doing it, and this is relaxed fingers and doing it. And I'm not making that up. It's just that much faster. Yeah, and then most people, when they do this too, they get the bigger grip, right? So you can do this with a bigger grip if you want. The only problem for me is if this was a mid-sized grip, then my fingers would be even more open, and now that would have a tendency to say twist in my hands. And has it when the bigger the grip is, the easier it is for it to get into the palm, like that. Where I want this pad here to always be on top for maximal flexion. And doesn't mean, by the way, doesn't mean that you can't play with it being here and glue it slightly more in the palm. And it doesn't mean that you wouldn't have a little less restriction up here, like I say, a Steve Stricker who's won many more millions of dollars than I've ever seen, right? So it's not, I'm just talking about anatomy and max club head speed, right? So like when I said before, when Maverick asked me, it was like, yes, Ben Hogan's grip was a manipulation. He made a manipulation, but he did it repeatedly every time. He learned to put the left hand a little bit weaker, which caused the golf club to be a little bit more at the top in that fashion where when he would cup, then he would have to then he'd have to bow to hit the ball. Right. So I'm just trying to get you guys to not have to think about that. I just want my hands to just flow back. See, I'm not even, when I do that motion and that happens kind of so fast, slinging it back, that that's the same. This is my back. So I understand that. So what? This is my backswing, right? Like that. That's the same as it's the same on this side. So I'm just creating ground pressure to do it. So the anatomy on the grip has to be correct to be able to do that. You were squeezing real bad and over gripping. Yep, that's okay. And of course, that's a whole nother way of doing it, where even if you have an anatomically correct grip, and even if your grip is a little bit light, but you want to actively engage the muscle fibers of the hand and arm to do it, that's fine. Just realize that when you do that, that it's going to be a little slower. And the tendency will still be to, you could still do a lot of different things with your hand, right? When you're when you move it by muscle like that. So you really have to make sure that when I teach people that motion, that you're trying to get it to eventually swing, and you want the butt of the club to always be pointed at the ball, because that's a visual, even with muscle, to do that. Whereas when I sling it back, it automatically goes there, should go there every time. Doesn't mean that works for everybody, but that's the feels that I have. Ooh, where did that go? Can't see me. My screen went away of me being able to see myself. Am I still online? No, I'm still there. I'm not sure what happened to my. There it goes. Thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. My screen, it just, when I got an iPad right, you can't see it. I got an iPad right next to it. That's so I have my phone turned around so I can't see you guys. So that's why I'm having to make sure that I stay in the screen and the picture and all that kind of stuff. So do you guys notice how when I'm saying I'm slinging this back, how I'm actually using this leg to to push my body that way, to have the golf club go that way. See? So that's because then this leg now pushes it the total opposite way, this way, while it goes that way. So I'm basically doing the same two movement patterns, and I'm going this way and this way, and that's what lead leg is. To me, it's and I've been doing this a while now. So remember, I'm 53. I think for me personally, um, it's even a little bit easier for me than when I'm making the walk-in motion where it goes tier together and then separates at the top and then goes through. For me, it's just a little bit easier on the old man to have to create free speed going back and having the weight go, keep my head on center, doing it that way, because then it just pushes me along, and I don't ever have to, like, my timing for me is a little bit better when I'm a little bit quicker. Not every day, but that's consistent so far. And my spine likes it because it kind of just stays. If you'll notice when I'm doing this, it just kind of stays as I fling it. See, it stays there, and as I fling it, it stays there. So it's just kind of a nice little, as you can see it. So I'm just slinging it, and so my spine really enjoys that as a 53-year-old man. So I get, and it was funny too. There was I watch YouTube like you guys. So I'm on there. Roy McIlroy said, "What's the weirdest thing that he carries with him everywhere he goes?" And he's got a little device that releases his psoas. Well, my psoas gets tight too, and the reason why, also the IT band right here, quadratus lumborum muscles, where my lat and oblique meet. Hey, listen, this is just we're just talking, right? I have to do that, like the foam roller or the ball where I put pressure on it and then move the joint to loosen everything up. Because, and it was said to me by my buddy Preston Wakefield, like, hey, when you're swinging 130, 140 miles an hour, you're using the ground the same way that I was doing when I did Olympic lifting and was deadlifting, 600 pounds or clean and jerking and all that kind of stuff. Your body doesn't know the difference. So I have to constantly do mobility work to maintain the speed that you do. So anyway, just a little FYI. Let's see. Do you ever feel when you roll your legs that the pressure goes to the outside of your foot or stays on the inside? Okay, so and yeah, the other day I did a video with my glasses, and this kind of goes with it. Is the cuboid bone is on the outside of the foot, okay, and so it's just right, say like right in here where I'm pointing. That's what pushes me to go this way, right? Not the inside of your foot. But I never feel myself go to the outside ever of this, because that means that my head had to go there. See, so even if I compound, pivot, and shift, when I do that, my pelvis wants to go back, you know, and I still feel pressure on that cuboid bone, right, to be able to rotate, because that's what causes the body to then to push and rotate. So I never go outside. If I go outside, my head had to move way off the ball that way. So I never ever put pressure out over here. Never, never. So I'm always, if any, and when you find when I'm slinging like this, the pressure goes right to that. That's why I did that lesson on that cuboid bone, right to that cuboid bone where the knee is bent, and that's what pushes you the other way. Or when you do the compound pivot at the top of the golf swing, see what happens. So, and let's discuss that just for a second, because people are like, well, what's the difference in lead leg and compound pivot? And it really is, when do you do your weight going this way? All right. So play with me for a moment and just watch. So obviously my weight right now is back over here. Okay. So in the compound pivot, when I shift, all my weight shifts over, and all my weight shifts over, and all my weight and pressure is over here, as you can see, and a little bit of pressure goes into my left toe. So now from here, I still will roll my right foot and push the cuboid, and push my leg over. And you'll see that my knees are still separated, and I'm still in that delivery position. Okay. It just happens significantly later. Whereas when I'm doing this and pushing the leg in this way, you'll still see that I'm 50-50 and somewhere in a similar position when that shaft is here. It just depends on, when you do it. Okay. And like I said, so, and my QL and mine, that has a tendency right here. So when I really wind this big back muscle up, I can get more speed, but I can also, my body doesn't like it sometimes. That's kind of what I'm saying. So, and you're 66, you can relate. I can't yet. I'm 53, almost 54. But when I'm holding on. I'm holding on. Okay. So, yeah. So I have no idea what 66 feels like. If I'm hoping that I can still be in similar shape when I'm 66 and be still talking about the club head speed, etc. Not maybe those glory days of like, yeah, I used to swing fast. But anyway, all right. Back to questions for you guys, because this is all about you. Like, where are you guys lost or confused on, my 400 plus videos? And do you guys like, by the way, the last two videos, the Meta glasses? I thought that was kind of unique. I'm going to bring those for my trip in Florida. So my senior tour player that I'll be working with, and trying to get his club head speed up, I'll be using those and posting those things kind of daily. It'd be very easy for me to be on any kind of golf course without having to sit there and let me put my camera out, my tripod, my GoPro, and all that. Instead, I could just go click and record a 5-minute video. Any questions whatsoever? Oh, and I will give a shout out to Dr. Joe Lacaze. I did work with him some, and I got the Rotex Motion, and I'm going to kind of just throw it down here for a second because there's so many videos that people have done it. So I'm just kind of showing you there on the ground, and I when I use that, I'm really been a little bit off of it, and I've done it now a couple days in a row. It is my workout that I'm doing now. There's like 24 different exercises. Takes like a minute or two to do each one, and it is really good for the hip flexor, the psoas muscle, the stretching of the shoulders, the lat, the mobility, and all that kind of stuff. I don't make any money off of that. He's in Clarksville, Tennessee. Phenomenal guy. We talked about it. That's kind of where when I kind of when he walked me through it a little bit, and we talked about the cuboid bone. We talked about the cursive process up here, carotid process. Um, and we discussed a few things. I didn't get into it with him. I didn't talk too much. I wanted to listen to him, but and I might even want to go back and talk to him a little bit about the differences of the compound pivot and the lead leg and the throw and all that kind of stuff. And he's really good friends with Fast Eddie Fernandez, who is a former champ that swings, ungodly fast, and a great player and a great teacher in his own right. So I learned from everybody. So I just want to kind of throw that out there as well. Um, you know, everybody is copying somebody or saying something that somebody resonates with to help you guys get better. You know, otherwise you were the first teacher out in like 1800 something. Let's see. Recently found your videos a couple weeks ago. Just want to say how much I've learned in a short time. Ooh, you've been a busy man then if you've been watching some of my videos. All right, and thank you for that. And any comments that you or questions that you've had. The biggest one that I always kind of get scared of is the one that says, "I've watched all your videos. I love all that you do." And I'm like, well, they don't all pertain to you, of course. So you got to figure out really which one you are, lead leg or trail, or you know, need to work on your grip, hand action, stuff like that. And thank you very much for the comment. Let's see. Bigger players, overweight, out of shape. Yep, I've been there, done that. You name it, that's where I'm coming from. Last few years hasn't been fun. Getting older. Oh man, that's awesome, Dave. I appreciate that. It got you excited again. Um, and believe it or not, I'm not quite in the shape that I was, when I first started this journey, because I've had to work that full-time job and I'm grateful for it at Country Hills and all the people there. The 40 hours behind the counter, but then also the 40 hours of doing this business. So now I'm just now starting to be able to get back into to training and all of that. And this is also where I lead into this with the Rotex Motion. I cannot stress that one enough. Again, I make no money on it, but if you've got previous injuries and you're really stiff, then I would tell you to use that. The other program I liked is the Gymnastic Bodies with Christopher Summers, and he has the foundation course, and that is because if you don't have, he believes if you don't have strength and mobility together, then you don't, strength by itself is not good, and mobility by itself is not good. So those are all great things for golfers to have as you would go, and I would tell you also my peptide journey, where I was 255 pounds or so when I was at the golf course, and I did the semaglutide, dropped 40 pounds in 7 weeks. and I didn't lose that much muscle, and I didn't really work out or anything. And then once I was done with that, then I started working out, and then I changed it around with peptides and all that. I've kind of stumbled upon the GLP-3 retatrutide, which I think is really awesome. And I'll play around and I'll cycle around with that. Again, not a doctor, don't play one on TV. Check out Peptide Sciences, and then you can put in any of those that I'm discussing, and you can buy them from there. But you'll also get a huge prescription, not prescription, you get a big detailed description about every little thing that does, because there are some that have side effects, and so they'll tell you exactly what you and of course it'll say not for human consumption because it is a compound pharmacy. But I've been doing it and I've had zero issues. Okay, so I'm just trying to help you on your journey. If you've seen some of my videos, there is one in there about all of this that I did. I never know where these videos are going to go. You can tell I'm pretty genuine, right? I'm not anything special. I've had a huge journey in life where I've learned so much from so many players and so many teachers, and um, being blessed to have been a CrossFit affiliate owner, to study basic kinesiology on my own, study MIT physics online on my own, kind of put it all together about the anatomy and all that stuff when I started getting into Olympic lifting and all that. And so all these things just make me a better communicator and a better teacher. Being on cruise ships, teaching, thousands of golf lessons and talking to in front of thousands of people on main stage about the golf swing every week, got me to where this is not a thing, right? And so I'm just trying to give back. And so all those gifts of things that were given to me and kind of earned throughout my life, I'm now trying to make you guys better golfers, before I go, you know, because we're all going to go, right? So, I mean, in, 2 or 3 generations from now, you know, YouTube might be like MySpace and all my videos might be gone. I don't know, you know. Most of us after a couple of generations won't even, somebody be driving your car or scrap metal, or somebody be living in your house on your couch. So anyway, so I'm here while we're here, and let's have some fun and try to work on your golf game. Let's see here. Hey there, let's see. You're a high handicap looking to have my first lesson with the trainer. What's the first thing you look at in a first lesson, would you say? Okay, so first of all, I just look at the overall motion. Okay, so and it takes me about 1 or 2 swings, and I know kind of on average what most people do, what their habits are, what their beliefs are, and it really can't happen that quick. But because I understand the grip that we'll talk about so well, that when the hands hang naturally from your sides, and so watch my grip video, watch anything that said grip. I look on my playlist and it talks about all about hand action, grip action. I cannot stress that enough. That's number one. So if I see you swing and you basically come around your body, I know that you twisted your spine incorrectly and you've been told to turn. If your club face is shut, then I know that your left hand was in the wrong position or it's too much in the palm and all that. So I look at the hands first. That shows me where the elbows fold and how the wrist joints work. And then I'll look at what your body does. So I'll look at those two things and pretty quickly and go, okay, well, we need to work on, hey, it doesn't matter. I could give you a perfect pivot motion, a perfect slinging motion, and have an incorrect grip, and we're going to have an incorrect golf club with no speed. So I would do that. I'd always work on the grip first. Let's see. Just started a pet died under the cure of a doctor. A pet care. Oh, hang on a second. All right, you're gonna have Maverick. You're gonna have to. I still can't read that sentence. Put it all together for me for one. just started pet care, died care, doctor care, pet dies. I gotta make it one sentence. All right, there you go. So let's see here. You mentioned speed comes from the left arm control from the right. Does it feel like you're pulling through your? No, 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 no. Never pull. So pulling is this. Okay. And Mike Austin would say that you're like harpooning a whale like that. So I'm literally taking my hand right from the top. Understand what I'm saying now when I say this. I'm taking my left hand right from the top and I am starting to backhand the whole way. So therefore it's already rotated here and through. So if I pull this at all, this will feel so stupid to me. Hang on. So if I feel that I pull it all right here and then try, can you see how late that was? I'll try to make it seamless. Hold on. See, I can't do it because I've started my arm down like this while my hand did not rotate because of the forearm. So watch what I say when I don't mince words, okay? So once I'm up here to the top, watch. I'm going to spin this hand and that's all one continuous motion. So I'm taking it from here. Well, first of all, I've shifted, right? And so once I'm shifting, my hand is doing this right from the top. It is never ever doing this slowly where the forearm doesn't rotate and then try to turn and square the club face up. 1,000% what most people try to think they're doing in the golf swing, and this is why their club head speed is not there, and they have no idea where they go. When I'm up here and I go, they're like, wow, it didn't look like you did much, but why did your 8-iron go 190 or 180 yards or something, right? Because it is right here spinning all the way around, right from the top. There is no, so when I say swing the arms, well, my arm is swinging, but my forearm is turning and my hand is rotating. See, right here from the top, there is no pull. Pull and turn would be late. Great question. I hope you guys can see that. Okay, this is the reason why I'm faster than most people. Not everybody, but most people. Oh, okay. You start, man. You understand when you said like a pet died under care of a doctor, and then you're like now you said so the sentence was you started using peptides under doctor's care. Okay, awesome. That's fine. So and basically what most people do, um, I'm really outside the box. Okay, so nothing about me is like I've already been studying peptides for a long time. By the way, peptides were pretty much invented by Pavlov and bio. They're called bioregulators. And when you're like Pavlov dog, ring a bell. You know, like 1800s, the early 1900s. That's when peptides were found. Okay, so people go, how long have peptides been around? A long time. Okay, so but now the injecting and the needles and the different instead of taking it through the pill, which then has the blood-brain barrier, they had to figure all that stuff out little by little by little. Okay, but the regular doctors are gonna, with insurance and stuff like that, it's gonna give you like Ozempic, Wegovy, which is semaglutide and trizepatide. Okay, so retatrutide is not even out yet, but trust me, I don't know what the hell name they're gonna have. Okay, but I swear to God, when they do, you're going to be like Ozempic is a piece of crap, and so is trizepatide because those have one and two different forms of GLP. Retatrutide has three. Okay, so it does things with the stomach, the hunger part, the satiety, and all that stuff. You won't want alcohol, you won't want chips, you won't want anything, and it also helps you retain muscle. And there is, and I don't know the name of it because it's not out yet, but they're working on it. There is going to be one that's a GLP-4, and it actually helps you build muscle. It's been proven now with what they've been working on. Again, I study everything. All right, on everything from peptides to psychology to all these different forms of it. So I can kind of speak with some authority. There's not a name on it right now, but when it comes out, you can put on say 20% muscle while losing the same amount of fat from retatrutide or from semaglutide. It's going to go off the shelves and it's going to be a huge deal with your doctors and all that. Doctors don't even know, or they don't even know it's coming yet, so don't ask them. They're just now prescribing and learning these peptides. Okay, they're still rather idiots when it comes to it because they've been doctors that have been prescribing medicine, so they're not looking at the future and going like, oh wow, this thing's next. Like the next person's going to give it to them and go, okay, this is now cleared by the FDA, and so now you can do this. So anyway, I love getting on soapbox about that kind of stuff because I've experimented with it. So when I go to Peptide Sciences, I've done retatrutide where all of a sudden I dropped 8, and I don't know if you saw it. Maybe it was about 18 pounds in 10 days. I mean, I kind of experiment with it. I don't know why I'm a tinkerer. I just am by nature. Sorry to get on my soapbox about that. I know this is about grip and we talked about peptides. Anywho, could you imagine me at a bar just hanging out and talking with you guys? You'd either want to punch me or enjoy my company. All right, let's see here. How about the differences with hitting down with the irons versus up with the driver? Yes, related to the underhand throw. Awesome question. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay, so let's take away my slingshot for a second here. So I'll put an actual object in my hand of a golf club. All right, so we'll say 9-iron. Okay, now because you're underhand throwing, and because we know that the guide hand is the right hand and the speed hand's the left hand, right? So when I wind up to throw, okay, watch my hand, wound up. The intention of my arm dictates the pressure in my foot. So when I hit a driver, watch what happens. I'm going to throw under, and I'm going to throw my arm more up. Okay, so where's my pressure going to be? On my right foot. So that is going to be a higher throw, right? And if I'm going to throw lower, then my arm is, again, my hand is spinning always. My arm is going. And now there's my iron shot. So now I'm throwing and I'm finishing lower here. So mid trajectory is maybe mid pressure. Now I'm throwing under and staying on my back foot. Now I'm throwing low and to the left. So now I'm going to throw low left. Now I'm going to throw low right. So I have more pressure over here. When I'm hitting the driver, I'll have more pressure on my back foot to throw up. So think about that. If my arm goes this way, my pressure goes this way. If my arm goes this way, my pressure goes that way. That's not rocket science, is it? Peptides are harder to discuss. Something ain't right with me. All right, here we go. Let's see. What about the difference? Yeah, you got that one good. I can make that motion with the driver. Irons, not so much. Yeah, and that's okay. So what I would say is just to get a feeling of that, if you're going to do an underhand toss, is just go ahead and put pressure and weight. So pressure from the right foot to the left, and you could even just kind of just put all your pressure and all your weight right there, right? And then practice the underhand toss and see how my arm and my shaft's in one line as I throw. So this was something that I kind of worked on when I was throwing. So it would just be compression this way. Whereas if I'm throwing with a driver, it's going to go more up like so. So that's something that you can practice if you want to feel that, again. And then once you start to get that feeling, then you'll start to have that understanding of how that other hand is doing and spinning this way while this hand is going under that way. Is the position of the head the same for the driver and irons throughout the swing? Yeah, that gets fun. Okay. So, yes, for all practical purposes. Yep, I know. I just pissed off a lot of people, right? Because, why? Because I can put the golf club is in the, again, symmetrical circle I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the other things that you can do, about how much pressure shifts more left, and about the tendencies that you have or the manipulations that you have to have if your grip is incorrect or your plane is incorrect, and then you've made a manipulation to come into impact. If the golf club's in the middle of the body, that's the only place that you're in perfect balance. That means that's the only place that I can have a circle with my wrist bone going this way and this way. Okay. If I leave the ball up in my stance, then the shaft has to be forward. The body has to be tilted this way. Okay. And that's like this, right? Like I wouldn't copy Phil Mickelson this way. Like this is a manipulation that he does. Okay. And he thinks that most bad golfers are from this. And he talked about doing it. I'm doing it lefty. So, if he ever watches this video, he can understand a little bit of it, right? So if you're like this, then you can't swing on a perfect circle. You can have your wrist, but your golf club has a tendency to go around, and that's why it swings a little bit long. And he's been prone to miss quite a few fairways, right? Because when your body's tilted, you're no longer in a circle. So if you're here, see, I can do this. This is a circle. Golf club goes end over end, And you can see it's end over end, over end, over end, over end. Okay, left or right. If I put this shaft out in front like this, now it's not. Now it can't make a circle. See, it's going to be different on the side. So when you put your driver and iron, all is going to be dictated on, did your arm finish there or did my arm finish there? So even with a driver and I'm here and I just drop my right foot back a little bit, the club's still in the middle of my body. I have more pressure on my right foot when I come through impact. So I'll hit up on it. Okay. But that means I could leave it right here and I could also throw my arm down lower and hit driver lower. So I don't have to, I can throw a draw or a cut or high or low, and my club can always be in the middle of my body. If you move the ball back in your stance, you're changing the delivery position from the inside more because it goes inside square back to inside, and that's a circle that moves around the body. So if your golf club is out in front, you're going to change that. So if you're trying to keep your left arm and shaft in a straight line like this, you now doesn't mean you can't play. It just means you have to now have manipulation. Again, I'm just talking about circle and symmetrical. Yeah, you're welcome, Dave. Yep, and that's something that I had to struggle with. I had to figure it out on, kind of in a lot of these things that I'm giving you guys. It's taken me. This isn't like a revelation that just all of a sudden I like I'm a young Sheldon and I just look and I can see the, you know, particles and things in the sky, right? It's like I had to learn like this is what I did for a long time. And so when I took the club back, I take the club back and I take it behind me. And I was like, and for the life of me, I'm like, why is my golf club behind me? You know? And then I'm like, all right, well, now let me try to get my golf club up over my shoulder. Okay, I couldn't. My body's tilted. Right. So it's a fight. And then I realized, like, oh, in a circle, I started, back in the day with the Jim Flick stuff, where it's like, hey, you point the butt of the club at the ball on one side and the other, and all of a sudden it's a circle. Well, I was like, well, you can't do that if you lean the shaft forward. And yet everybody tells me I'm wrong, but yet most people can't break 100. All right, let's see. I feel like there's a hitch or disconnect, so to speak, from the smooth takeaway to where the club's parallel. And you keep it over your right shoulder is like a jerkish motion. So I need to just keep it on my right bicep as a circle. Sorry, minimal words on the chat. That's all right. So an underhand throw is a conscious release. Describe a passive automatic release. Yes, great. Okay, so two parts here. So Maverick, I would have you just try to feel like that you're trying to make a continuous motion, not have it where you're too analytical at times. Okay, like I know I hit the nail on the head when I said that, because your brain is always thinking how and what, and like what muscle takes it over the shoulder, and what hand and what arm and all of that, right? Where if I just said swing the golf club over your shoulder and over your shoulder, how did you do that, right? And that's a hard answer for you because you want to know all the little details, and I know that's why you like a lot of the stuff I talk about. But I want you to, when you're playing, I want you to try to play more right side of your brain, which is going to be more visual, of course, and the left side is going to be more analytical. So when you're playing, you try to picture, and this leads into the part of that throw as well. You're trying to picture that shot. But I want to understand that when a conscious release is where you are physically just now thinking about your arm, and a lot of people have this thought, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I've had some hole-in-ones and some great rounds of golf where I just think about I'm throwing my arm to my target, and so my golf club is just responding to that. Okay, and so that is a conscious thought of the arm going to the target. Okay, so that's the hand winding up and the arm to the target, like I'm throwing a ball, and my body's responding. When I do a passive but fast release, I am now not thinking of my hand and arm on any level. I am literally thinking of shifting the pressure into my right, slinging it back as fast as possible, and then it slings through as fast as possible. So the difference of a throw and the difference of a sling, okay, totally different. The left wrist goes into extension quicker, and the golf club goes over your shoulder faster. And when you throw, your arm extends out further because remember, your right arm is the guide. So do you throw it quite as far as you sling it? No, you'll sling it further than anything because you're also playing around with the forces that are a, a backhand with this muscle and a backhand with that muscle. They mirror each other. I don't know if you watched the first part of this, but so if I just did this, this is the left-handed release, and that also is the backswing. So if you're going like that, that's going to be faster because whatever you do on this side, you're going to do on that side. So I'm backhanding. Basically, the golf swing could be two. It could be called two backhands. You backhand it with the right hand by your leg, and then you backhand it with by your left leg, like that. See, so that's going to be faster than muscular winding the hand up and throwing the arm. But it doesn't mean that you still can't play world-class golf with that, okay? Because that's what Tiger does, okay? Tiger doesn't sling it back. Tiger just has pressure on his pressure from his right into his left leg. His knees are like this, okay? Go back and watch it now when I say this. You'll see it. You'll be like, shit, he's right. He winds his hand up like so, and then his arm just goes right down the line, and then he finishes wherever he wants to finish. He can finish high, low, or whatever. I mean, I'm not going to look like him. I'm 6'3", 220 in white, and he's shorter and darker. But he has the same. Movement patterns. Describe passive automatic release. Yep. Okay. Good. So does that make sense? Both answers on that. Great questions. Love that. And what would you guys like to see more of? Leave a comment now too. I mean, I already know it's going to be fun. It's going to be in Florida. Teaching the Tour Pro and having some rounds of golf and hitting some shots and showing some short game, live short game clinic shots and stuff like that. I'll still bring the GoPro, but it's going to be easier for me just to hit record on the glasses. So hopefully you guys like those glasses enough. It's just going to be really easy for me to do it that way. But tell me what else you guys want to see, because that's going to be because this is a fun. I call this just my fun channel, right? This is my way of giving back to the world now and fun. So, what does people want to see, and what's the next question? And is there any confusion in that? Because I don't think you're going to see that too many places where we talk about the circle and how that motion is the same as this motion. And if you're trying to create as much speed, it's not the one piece like that. It literally is that. Oh, my back's better. Still not 1,000%, but getting closer. I have to do hip flexor work and all that fun stuff now, about on the daily basis after I'm doing lessons and teaching and stuff. All right, next question. And Maverick, you're okay to ask questions. I like you asking questions. You're analytical. That mean, and your brain doesn't stop. And what do you guys think of the new logo / brand, the King Golf Lab? Thought that was pretty cool. Good. So, yep. And I'll go this way so you guys can see it. So when I sling it back, see right here? Now I can check that and stand up, and I'm in the same position that I was if I swing in a circle. See? And if I did that, that'd be the same as if I slung it back left-handed. See? They're the same. Should you keep your back to the target for as long as possible? Yeah, that's again, that's a thought that some people have. If so, feel and real are different. Okay. And I know where you're kind of going with that. At the top of the golf swing and your back's to the target, the longer that I can keep my back to my target, and I think Justin Rose does this drill where he feels his arms are dropping down and then rotates together. And you guys should all know I hate that shit, right? Because that's not going to hit the ball very far. Um, but if your tendency is to open up like this, I would rather you try to feel like you're staying closed while your hands and arms are swinging, and then you'll face the chest. Your chest will face the ball when you're coming through. But if you open up too soon, you're just pushing the shaft. So, but this is again just a thought that's not really real. There's nothing here that's worth anything doing this, because from here now I've already. What can I do from here? It'd be like you saying I'm going to throw a ball, okay, and I'm going to wind up and my back's to the target, and now I'm going to shift. And I'm going to keep my back to the target as long as possible, and then try to throw. It just doesn't. That just doesn't work. But if it's a feel and you're playing well and you're swinging well with it, well, then keep it. Okay, but usually most people overdo it. Now let's see. It keeps being a constant tweaking mode with my golf swing. Yeah, you just because Manuel de la Torre said it best. Okay, and it's the hardest thing ever, especially when. So sometimes more knowledge isn't helpful, right? It's like once you get your feel, and you're like, so if you went out and you shot 75, 4, 5, 6, whatever it was, right, and you played a great round of golf. Then you go to the range and you're like, I need to change this and this. And I understand there's the tinkerer in you, but a lot of times the three hardest words in the English language are leave it alone, right? If you're still looking for the answer and you're trying to feel it, then obviously, and none of you guys are on tour that I know of, right? And so it doesn't really, in the grand scheme of things, matter what you do, and just you're trying to become a better golfer, right? So there's the two schools of thought. But once you feel like that you've got something and you've got something going, and you like the way that I like, okay, I like the way that left hand feels, and I see what he's talking about, how the arm doesn't move and how the hand spins, and now you go out and you shoot a great round of golf, and then you get Milo Lyons who says, I want you to drag and turn the body like a baseball and come through this way. These are two conflicting messages, right? And so that's when I would say leave it alone, right? Now, also, if you're releasing early and your thought is to turn, even though you kind of stop and you come through impact correctly and you're following, say it said Milo or Milo, whatever, then I'd say keep doing that, right? So, anyway, can you give your thoughts on the concept of illusion and what the arms actually do in the golf swing? Well, there's no really illusion to this. So the arms follow the turning of the torso, and the torso turns through the pelvis, and the pelvis moves from the knee, and the knee moves through the foot. That's just real. See, so if I was to do this shift, for instance, here, you'd see that my arm, by the way, is from here to here, not the forearm. So let's get the anatomy correct. So from here, the arm to the navicular bone. And so when I shift over, you'll see, and I'm going to even break it in half. You can see it. So you can see that my arm is going to follow my torso. See, my arm, right? So my arm's not going to actually move independent. It can, but now your body is not moving it, right? So when I'm doing these, my wrist bones are moving circular because it's responding to the forearm, responds to the arm, responds to the body. So therefore, when I'm doing this motion here and I'm slinging it back, this wrist bone is doing this, right? Which then the forearm is rotating and the arm is staying in connected, if you noticed, with the body. So I'm not actually ever thinking about what does my arm do, right? So now I'm in an underhand throw at the top of my golf swing. Let's do that. Watch this for a second, and let's find out. Okay. So when my hand winds up, now I'm going to bring this back out in front of me. Okay. You guys agree? All right. I want you to understand this. I'm just going to turn my body back and bring it back in front. And I'm going to drop it down. Now, where is my arm? It's right there. So now I'm going to throw my arm to the target. I'm throwing both arms to the target underhand. Okay. I'm going to stop right here. Look where my arm is, where my spine is. Okay. It's off the side of my body. That's impact. There's under. Okay. Now I'm going to bring it back out in front. Where's my arm? So is my arm ever really separating from my body, the upper part of your arm? No. Your forearm is rotating by your hand moving it, but your upper arm is staying moved into here. It doesn't move. It does if you chicken wing, I guess, and you lift your arm up, but no. Great question. Makes sense to me. Short game, getting up and down. Oh yeah. Okay. So that's fun. Okay. That is where there is so much interpretation that you can, so many variations. If I could probably talk about short game until I was blue in the face, because I can do it where I'm just moving this one joint, where my hand winds up, arm to the target, okay, like so, and then I can do it where my feet are rolling and the golf club is responding passively. I can do it with both hands if I wanted to, and just make it where it's more of a line, like I'm like a putt kind of stroke. I could actually put pressure into my left and my right and sling it back, even though it's a chip shot or a pitch shot, and my weight can go left or right. Man, there is too many variations. I think the average person, what they do though is they do this, obviously, right? So then they try to put it back in their stance, and then that hits it deep. So if you could just have the golf club, in my opinion, in the middle of the body, and I know a lot of people are going to poo-poo on this, but this is, again, that circle that I talk about. So when I'm doing this and my golf club is swinging in this circular manner, when I come back through here, see, my body and my shaft is moving correctly from there. If you blade it, then you're moving your hand through, right, and not your arm, like you're tossing a ball. Again, that's really deep. I could do that a whole bunch of different ways. I feel like most people, if they could learn to feel like they would just roll their feet and have passive hands and arms, then that golf club could work in a nice little circle. But that's a fun one. That one's one you get to experiment with when you go out to the chipping green or hitting balls and all that. Man, Robert, that's a too loaded of a question. Which current player best exhibits your understanding of the golf swing? Well, because I teach all the different styles, so they all could relate. So what I mean by that, and I know that there's a lot of guys that love, and they talk about, you know, there's a certain golf. I'm trying to think what's the athletic golf motion. Okay. And I like a lot of the stuff that they talk about, right? And they have the gears and all that, and so they might even say that some of this is bro science. But when you look at the top players, they do have a tendency to have some similarities. But you can't tell me that that Bubba Watkins, that is up here like this, at his trail leg like this, and and Tiger Woods is like this, that they're all different relatable patterns. So, a lead leg is somebody has pressure from the right to the left at the top of their swing. A trail leg is their leg is loaded all the way into their right leg and it's straight and their head's on center, or their leg is bent and it's twisted over here. And so these are all different releases. I don't care what people say, right? They're total different patterns, movement patterns, and then they're going to have different releases. Uh, Again, I like the one where they want, basically, from what I understand, is out here, and then there's a recentering at the top, and then goes through, so you get that like stretch reflex, right? And that's more of a lead leg motion, and that's what a lot of tour pros play, and that's what a lot that they teach, and so therefore that seems to be the logical one, but that's not what Mike Austin did. That's not what Bubba Watkins did. That's not what Mo Norman did. I mean, I can go on down the list. But so there's not one person or one golf pro that plays that swings the same or uses the same pressure points the same way. So, and when I teach, I never know which way it's going to go. And a lot of times I won't know in the beginning because their grip is so bad that I have to get their hands on it correct. And once they get their hands correct, then I can sit there and see their movement patterns of, hey, your tendency is to twist, right? Like I got one down in Australia. If anything that I would tell him to do load over here on the right, he would still want to twist, right? If I told him to load into his left leg, he'd still want to twist. So there was no walking, there was no shove back or anything. So eventually it got to the point where, okay, all the weight's on the left and he just winds his hand up over his shoulder. And now all of a sudden he's got the feeling of the pressure through the legs and now he's striping it. But there's no way that I could teach that guy the Harvey Penick bucket method and him not twist and do that move, right? So, and that's just one particular person, right? So, anyway, that's loaded. I know these are loaded answers. I'm hoping that you guys are understanding that. How much should the forearms actually rotate during the swinging motion? In a perfect circular motion, the forearm and the hand will start to move first. Okay, so watch this now. If I just rotate my forearm, my hand will go with it, right? You guys see that? Okay, and it rotates up here too, right? So my forearm rotates and my hand moves. Now, watch the difference in my hand moving back. Now moves the forearm muscle, and this one didn't hardly move at all. So watch the difference. Here's forearm moving. Look what my golf club looks like, kind of flopping around. And here's hand. See? So it's the hand that moves it, and the forearm is responding to the hand. So it starts right off the bat with the hand. So I'm going to talk about a circle. So the hand goes back. Now, as the arm starts to swing to the target, you'll see that the hand is moving with the forearm as it goes through. And there's other ways, okay? Obviously, there's other ways. If you take the club back and do not have any forearm rotation whatsoever, and this is what a lot of people will talk about, how the club face matches the spine as it goes here, and the handle's outside, and then it goes up or back on plane this way. But at some point, the forearm has to rotate to get the club to go online. Now, even if it's up here, now the forearm hasn't rotated. See, the forearm's not rotated? But at some point, I've got to hit the golf ball. So at some point, the forearm has to rotate. So all I'm talking about is doesn't this make sense? If I had a ball up here, in the air, would this make sense? No forearm rotation and then do it later, or just do that? See, that's all I'm doing that. And you can see how the club is advancing. So the forearm is rotating right off the bat in a pure circular motion. And it's doing it by hands. Speaking of short game, open face, open stance, swinging along the feet line. How do you not shank and even hit the middle? Yeah. So, man, there again, the short game is just so in depth. Whereas, there's a history to this. If you turn your body, the golf club's going to go behind you too much, obviously. So these are all, in my opinion, if you want to get really, really good at the underhand throw or these little movement patterns, then you'll start to feel what I call the double pendulum, where the arm's not even moving. See, the arm's up here not moving. And this hand and wrist joint is moving freely. And if you just did that, and I can do it with left or right. I'm not doing left hand bias, by the way. And you'll see that when I come through, that is straight up and down square, and that's released. And if you do that, you could literally be a world-class chipper and pitcher of a golf ball. That little motion right there, 1,000%. Then that will correlate, because how many times have you guys seen me do this all the time? And then I just add my legs and my feet and legs to it. Well, you can become a really, really good ball striker by just hitting lots and lots of pitch shots and chip shots with that little swinging double pendulum motion, which you have to have a proper grip to do that. If I only had one drill and a piece of advice to give golfers to practice the most, what would it be? I'd probably just exactly what I just probably that little chipping motion, what I just did. And if I combined it, I'd have them do it up here where you hold the forearm and you in the arm, I mean, and then you let it rotate, and then you could see how the golf club swings in a little pendulum manner. And then the right hand would hinge backwards. I know that's 2 drills, of course, but you get the feeling of the underhand throw that way. And so just making sure that the grip is correct for one, and then feeling the weight of the club swinging in that pendulum manner. So if I said one drill, correct grip, and I would probably have it where the butt of the club here pointed at the golf ball, no further, and swing through and point it at the golf ball on the other side. Because to do that, you have to have the correct forearm amount of rotation, body, etc. Square the club face up and through on the other side. And then you start to learn to do that with some speed. And watch how simple this becomes now. So that's on plane there. As the hand winds up a little further, it's still pointed at the target line, still at the target line, and then through on the target line. And if you had to hit a shot dead straight, then you would just point it there at the ball and right there at the ball, and your weight would have to transfer. If you went early, the butt of the club wouldn't point there. If you turned your body, it wouldn't. That'd be my number one drill. Number one drill would be old school Jim Flick, 1985. I learned it. He stuck a T in the butt of the club, and he pointed the T at the ball and pointed the T at the ball on the other side. That'd probably be my number one drill as far as sensitivity for where the club head goes. Let's see. How much is it if you had only one drill? Let's see. Study. Yep. I have nothing bad to say about the AMG guys. I would just say that there's just more than one way to do it, and they know that they've studied it a lot. I mean, anybody that's in this field is trying to make people better, right? That is the hand that is responsible for the rotating motion. Yes, and not the forearm. That was correct. You've had a problem of taking the club back too shallow. Yes, and shallowing is a manipulation. Okay, I cannot stress that enough. Okay, if I'm up here, wherever your club head points is your target line. So if I do that, that's a linear motion. Okay, so you're talking about a circle, right? And we could also talk about angular momentum. So now that you guys can see that, tell me which version or angle that you like to see better. Okay, so when I'm doing this and I just bend over, that's a golf swing. Okay, that's on plane. That's pretty, and there's no shallowing. There's no reason to do that. The reason why they have to shallow is because the golf club is vertical or off plane. It's not pointed at my target line, and so they figured out a way to now shallow the golf club on the downswing and then rotate. It's a manipulation. I'm getting way big arguments about that with a lot of people, I'm sure, but it's a manipulation. And so, yes, I hope that helps you, John. I do not know that name, Jono. Jono kind of. I'm sorry, man. I'm not even going to say it. All right. So from there to there. Oh, and by the way, the guy injected the saline, and so I'm not seeing double. I haven't seen double now for about 2 weeks. It's been pretty happy times. from the botched Botox. I know you guys probably forgot all about that. I didn't. All right. See, so when I point the butt of the club at the ball and the ball on the side. So let's go back to that. So all I'm doing is when I'm slinging it back, this wrist bone. Now I'm gonna go slow with it though, and I'm just doing it with the right hand to show you because that's the backhand motion. Okay, so let's look at that where it's pointed at the club right there. So as I'm slinging this back, this wrist bone is bending backwards. It's parallel to it. It's right on the target line, and it's right here. Now I'm just doing that with the leg, and I'm doing it quicker. And there's the circle. So I'm making, when I sling it back, I am making a circle in a passive way, like a flail-like action with the hand, but it is still tracing the line. So from that video, you can actively point the butt of the club at the ball and the ball on this side and play wonderful golf. You can then, once you get the feeling of that, you can then start to feel the weight of the club doing it. Then you can start to feel the pressure through the ground doing it. But you've trained your hands to make this motion. Great question. Where does the double pendulum occur when swinging? Because the arm doesn't. Hang on a second. It seems like happens at 7 o'clock when I swing. Is that too late? How do I work on making it happen sooner? 7 o'clock on the down, Mike, on the downswing. So it like this, like for the double pendulum, as I'm talking about the butt of the club pointing at the ball. See, my hand has to do that. So when it does this, look at the butt of the club now, guys. It's pointing at the ball. It's pointed at the ball. So what is that? That's the double pendulum. See? So that's your secret of a double pendulum. See, I'm talking about that's also parametric acceleration, right? So you could be shocked, right? I'll probably, and my father, rest his soul, said that I, will be a simple golfer and probably be a better golfer when I become older and less flexible, because I'll probably just go right here, point it here, and I'll point it right here, and I'll never miss any fairway, and it'll just always be one of those what I call 200-yard old man hit. But I'll be like Mo Norman. I'll like, when the last time you missed a fairway, But it's just on plane. See, so. Yeah. So anytime, on the downswing. Okay. Yeah. So basically, from right here, when your butt of the club is pointed there, if you turn your body, okay, you guys see this? If you turn your body, look what happens. The butt of the club is no longer going to be on that line. So when you start turning your body first, you now have to add some kind of right lateral bend to make some kind of manipulation. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay. So that's why I say that the arm goes like in that underhand fashion down the target line, and you can see how that worked, right? So when you shift, can you see when I shift now back from left to right, how that's going to sling it back? So now my arm is following. So there's the golf club being whipped. So once you get comfortable doing the hand, club swinging, then you can add the leg. By the way, there are people that cannot do this with just the hands, because you've trained you've trained your hand to roll and your forearm to roll, and you will never ever do this, probably because you've trained yourself to do that move. And so when you do that, that's really a bad thing. So you're going to have to really almost feel like you don't rotate, or add speed to it to where it happens so much faster that you can't manipulate. See, when people go real slow, it's no longer a swing, first of all. And watch what I can do when I go slow. like everything bad, slow. Whereas if I just sling this back, my wrist has to, I literally have to let it go. So if I try to sling this back and keep my arm straight, that you can see how that would be kind of dumb, or turn the body, that would be dumb. But if I just sling this back, and you see how my hand does it with my leg, then it's over top of my shoulder. Anyway, not trying to get up by the horse, but simple. When you watch that video, point the butt of the club at the ball on both sides, then start to feel the weight, and then kind of start to feel the pressure through the feet. That's okay. Hey man, that's a great question, and that's a little advanced, right? A lot of people don't really understand the simplicity of that. Like literally, if you wanted to have most people, I would say, if you want to have your best golf, you could just literally practice pointing the butt of the club at the ball here and here. And once you do that, so you wouldn't do it early or that. Now there are people that I've taught this to, and when they point it here correctly, but they do this every time. So if you do this every time, then I try to get you to what? Extend the arm out further. That's fine. And then that's more of an underhand throw. And then your right arm would be like pointing at the butt of the club at the ball. And then your arm would extend further out. And that's fine. And that's more of an underhand throw. The reason why, when you add the butt of the club at the ball on the other side, you're adding the left hand going into extension quicker. more speed. But doesn't mean you can't be an underhand thrower. Doesn't mean you can't do the butt of the club at the ball and then throw your arm. Again, different release, isn't it? That's a different release, right? But I was told in other videos that there's not a different release, which is bullshit. Hey, man, I am 53 years old. I turned 54 in February 28th. Born in 1972. Trying to keep my strength and my flexibility with it. And then also trying to make sure that I don't kill myself by, father time. Rotex Motion is helping me a lot. Go to rotexmotion.com, Dr. Joe Lacaze. I can't stress that enough for all your fitness needs for mobility, especially as you get older. I'll put a link in there, or you can go to the Slingshot. This is the one that I like because this is, especially if you're a lead leg person, this literally snaps back correctly when you do it this way. Also, if you can see that if I release my hand early, can you see I'm releasing my hand early? You don't hear anything. And if I do it correctly, it snaps on the other side. So it's perfect for someone who has a tendency to release early, like the hands like that, instead of learning how the butt of the club goes and the arm goes on the other side. So, and that's the reason why I like those couple things. It just is, I like tools, it helps you feel things. But anyway. How much does grip strength play in the speed of the throw? Okay, so great question. I can't tell you the immense power that I got from back in the day when I did powerlifting training and I got up to the 600-pound deadlift. When I maxed out at that because that's basically where the Louis Simmons Westside Barbell, that's where the girls' weight starts. So is that impressive? No, it's not impressive. It's impressive for the girls, but the grip strength that you build. So hanging from a bar, a bar, building up strength in your forearms, builds up your lats. You're becoming a stronger, faster individual. And then that would then obviously throw, like force times mass times acceleration. So, but I could have a 600-pound deadlift, be a power lifter, and have super incredible strong hands, right? Because you have to have that kind of grip strength to pick up the barbell. And then gymnastics, you have to be able to swing around rings. You have to have up to 2 or 3 times your body weight. I'm not getting off topic, I promise. But your hands have to be supple to do it. So once you're strong and fast, this flailing will go. So the faster, and oh, by the way, and I'll give a shout out too, because I just kind of found him maybe a couple weeks ago or so. Overhand golf is the same motion underhand throwing, but you're just instead of over, you're just tilting your body as you go under. So that's fine. And the golf club responds different than a ball. So if you're throwing a ball and then your arm is going to be going out as you're having a golf club in your hand, as your arm is going, the pressure in the hand and the arm is like down here. And then the stimulus, that's why that Mike Austin would say, full circle here, okay, is that there is a stimulus up here and a response. So I'm throwing right from the top. So not just, let's go back full circle of pressure, right? Is I'm throwing from the top where most people are trying to pull down or turn the body. I'm throwing my hand and my arm as hard as I can from the top. If you had a baseball in your hand and you're throwing it to center field from home plate, would you move your arm first and then your hand? No. You're putting as much pressure in your bicep, your shoulder, your forearm, and your hand to then, right? And your hand is going to do what? It's going backwards like this while your weight's going what? This way. So what is that? Well, that's the sling back, isn't it? See, when my weight is slinging back, just like throwing a ball, my hand is doing that while my weight is going forward and I'm throwing. That's fun, isn't it? Okay. Man, somebody watches this video, they're going to be like, some bitch was everywhere. We talked about everything. Anyway. Oh, man. Well, I'm wearing a hat. Two things. One, you guys could hear me on the mic because I used to wear, when I would wear this T-shirt, UST. My buddy gave me this shirt, and several of them, so I wear them from time to time. But when I put a mic on them, sometimes it goes under. So I was wearing a hat. Second is it's time for me to get my haircut. I got to be over at my haircut place in about 5 minutes. So I am going to say adieu to everybody. KingGolfLab.com. Check it out. I'll do the Zoom lessons with you. I do the membership site where you go to YouTube and look under the subscription on my page. And there's all kinds of different tiers that you can do where I can do video analysis of your golf swing, send you videos. There's a private Facebook group that I'm growing a little slowly. Anybody who's got a golf lesson with me, I'm adding you in there and all that kind of stuff. So as it goes, I'll be doing lives there as well. I just want to have a whole big fun community. So I'm here for you guys. Thanks so much for all the comments, the questions. Any other videos that you see, leave a comment. I try to respond. I think I respond to every one of them. I really do. And so anything that you guys missed or want to see more of, or what you don't like, tell me that too. Okay. I mean, I got thick skin. So, all right, I got to go. Everybody, God bless. Have a great day.